Self-sabotage, destroying our own success, throwing away our most valuable, like time, energy, mental health. Why do we do it? And how do we stop it? I needed to know the answers to these questions, but in my research, the rabbit hole I found myself in was much deeper than I had expected. But let me start at the beginning. Lately, I've been going through a lot. Both bad stuff, but also good, like starting this True One Block challenge, this YouTube channel. But how can it be that I feel like both the good and the bad just makes me more anxious? Why do I see the negatives in my life? Why do I have so little energy? Why do I waste so much time? Why do I waste so many reasons? Why do I think my friends want me to fail? Why do I...
But it seems like there's actually really strong evidence that journaling just magically makes things better.
Lately, I've been going through a lot, and I've started sabotaging myself. So I've bought a notebook, started writing down my thoughts and feelings on why I sabotage myself. And it works. Let me explain. I've started this YouTube channel, this very Minecraft challenge of building a complete Minecraft world from a single non-regenerative block, because this was something I wanted to do for a very long time, but for some reason I would just never start it. As weird as it might sound, this felt like a really good challenge that I could use to sort of get productive. And if I can be productive in Minecraft, maybe I can be productive in real life. I wanted to prove to myself that I'm capable of finishing stuff that I start, which then should translate very well into real life. But this self-sabotage phase was affecting everything. You might be saying, zekxylen, your job here on YouTube is to play Minecraft. How can you have no energy for that? And the answer is, first of all, I don't play Minecraft, I'm trying to craft stories. Second of all, this is not my job, yet. But third and most important, I don't know. So I started jotting down some of my thoughts, and a very interesting story from my childhood emerged. I remember that I'm at this convention with my parents, and I'm super bored. This was, mind you, before social media and before smartphones, so I couldn't really do much about the situation, except for one thing. Using my imagination, I know, to plan out a very big space base in Lego, because Lego was my thing when I was a kid. I wasn't going to do this because I wanted to make content for YouTube, or I wanted to share a picture of this on Instagram, or I wanted any sort of likes, any sort of clout. These didn't even exist. I wanted to do it because I just wanted to build a cool Lego base. Oh my days, an oak sapling. This is exactly what we need to break this game wide open. I don't have a single emerald on me. I thought long and hard about what the base would look like, so that I don't forget it. And then once I was home, I immediately started working on it. 2 days later, the base was finished. This story often makes me wonder, just what happened? What happened to that 12-year-old me that could just start something and finish it? Why do I have such trouble doing the same thing now as an adult? And the simplest honest answer to that question is, as a kid, you just don't really have responsibilities. But as an adult in my life, some stuff was slowly starting to clog up. I don't think I would have even noticed stuff was clogging up if it wasn't for the journal. This thing of me writing things down in the journal, in a physical journal, I don't know, it just works. And I know I said I was going to explain this, but to be absolutely real with you, I can't really explain what's happening. And it seems like my favorite internet psychiatrist, Dr. K, can't either.
What difference does it make if I just write down all of the things that I can't fix? Is it like journaling actually just magically makes things better when we just write about them? And I know this sounds absolutely insane, but the answer is yes. Actually, yes, that's exactly how it works. We have no idea how this actually happens, but it seems like there's actually really strong evidence that journaling just magically makes things better.
I do have a mental image that might just explain why journaling works. Disclaimer, none of what I'm about to say is professional advice. This is just how I internalize my own thoughts, so please don't laugh. We all have things that are happening to us, and most, if not all of those things, leave a mark. But it's so tiny, so minuscule that we don't even realize it's there. Until another thing happens, and another, and another, and another. We don't really feel their effects yet, but soon, all these things happening to us, all the unresolved residue, all these parts separately start to strengthen each other, and soon we find ourselves in a mental storm. Oh my god, this changes everything. Like excess data clogging up the memory of your phone. Problem is, with a phone, you can just hit reset. But how do you reset yourself? Well, you don't. You can't. At least, I have no idea how to actually reset your mental state on demand, taking immediate effect. So what is the only other option? The only other option is cleaning up the excess data, the emotional residue, get rid of the parts causing the storm, one by one. How do we do that, you might ask? By journaling. I truly believe now that it is impossible to get rid of the storm without writing things down. I can't explain properly, but I think to be able to do that would require a separate part of our brain realize, categorize, and rationalize all these thoughts while in the midst of the storm. I honestly believe that that is impossible. But even if it was possible, it is so much easier just to write things down and use the help of the journal to realize, categorize, and rationalize your thoughts. So what have I found in my brain doing journaling? Boy, do I have a story to tell you. As I mentioned, these past couple of months were rough. Lots of good things happened for sure, but also lots of bad things. My wife and I had to cope with health-related stuff, bad news, homesickness, loss. For example, early April, one of my old friends passed away at the age of 72, and I subconsciously started thinking that my dad was going to be next. Or another example, my wife was diagnosed with something that could be worrying, and I, again, subconsciously, started thinking that she might have cancer or something even more serious when there was nothing indicating any of that. These thoughts that were stirred up by the inner storm led me to start sabotaging myself. Depressive thoughts are like alcoholism. The problem is never the last drink, it's the first one. One depressive thought leads to another, which then triggers another, which in turn triggers yet another. And the only way of actually stopping that, the only way that seems to work 100% of the time, is journaling. Here's a favorite YouTuber of mine, Struthless, talking about this exact thing.
So not too long after my 19th birthday, I was just a freaking mess. I was stressed, I was chaotic, and for whatever reason, I had this urge to sit down at a computer one day, and I just decided that I would type out every single thought that was in my head. And so I did it, and the thoughts magically traveled from my head, through my fingers, and onto the page in front of me. And it was so bizarre, man. Once I saw the words in front of me, they didn't look as scary. And my bully of a head finally went quiet. For about 2 days. And that's when I realized that journaling was a practice that I would have to do for life.
If you don't know how to start this whole journaling thing, it's rather simple, really. You have to use journaling prompts. Let me show you how I've used them. Back to the first story. What actually happened? A friend of mine is gone, and that is sad. Was it expected? Unfortunately, yes. His health was deteriorating for the past 20 plus years, and recently everything was sped up after he lost one of his legs. What did I make it mean? That my dad is next. Is this really a rational thought? Absolutely 100% not. And even if it was true, there would be no connection between the two things. How is this the best thing that's happened to me? When I first saw this journaling prompt, even though I raised an eyebrow, I kinda got it. And I don't have a problem asking this question when something terrible, horrible happens to me. However, when something horrible happens to others, I'm not an expert, but I kinda rephrased it for myself. How this made me a better person overall. I know it doesn't sound as fancy, but it makes me more comfortable asking this question when something horrible happens to someone else. The passing of someone you cared about is never a good thing. But this event made me realize just how much I care about my dad and how grateful I am that he's okay. This also made me recount some of my favorite memories I had with this old friend of mine. It helped me draw some personal conclusions for my own life from his. Now for the other story, my wife going to the doctor. What actually happened? Well, she went, doctors checked her, there were times we needed to wait for test results and such, and yeah. What did I make all of it mean? I started playing these negative scenarios in my head, one thought leading to another, and the last thing I noticed was me sabotaging myself hard. Is there really a solid reason to think? Truthfully, no. But even if there was, just like Truthless would say, no amount of rehearsal will ever make you ready for when actual trauma hits. How is this the best thing that have happened to me, or how did this make me a better person? This event truly made me appreciate my wife and the time we are blessed to spend together much, much more. I appreciate health more. I'm taking my training more seriously. But all this also taught me again not to rehearse for tragedy. That is quite possibly the single most destructive thing you can do to yourself. Journaling works. And let me tell you, I never thought I'd see the day when I'd say this, but it has to be analog. You cannot do this on your phone. Your phone is a device that was designed for catching and keeping your attention. Notifications, badges, pop-ups. Your notebook is just a notebook. It's never going to send you any messages, any notification. Crazy, right? But anyway, another technique I've used which really helped was the same thing that Truthless was talking about, which is just writing down every single thing that is in my brain. If you've never tried this, you will feel stupid, probably. I know I did, but still go through with it. It is going to help. Again, neither of these two gentlemen, who are much more knowledgeable than I am, could explain why, but it actually just works. But I don't really want this video to turn into a guide for how to journal. I think journaling is kind of one of those things where the less you know about how to do it properly, the better it is. There is no right or wrong way to journal. There's many right ways and just one wrong way, which is when you don't journal. So then let this be a video which inspires you to, oh my god, watch another 10-15 videos on how to journal, only then to not journal at all. Don't think you can't journal because you don't have fancy pants equipment like a fountain pen or a leather journal. I'm sure you have an empty notebook somewhere and a pen. Go grab those things and start journaling. Either write down all the things in your brain, or if you have something specific happened, then you use journaling prompts, and that's it. That is, like, I want you to do that right now. See for yourself, because this works, but you're not going to believe me unless you try it. And also don't overcomplicate it. Just write something in a journal and then go do something creative. My whole idea behind this channel is to talk about creativity, to relive our creative tendencies, which we so well understand when we're kids, but forget when we become adults. And this is the next step I want you to do. When you are self-sabotaging, regardless of whatever feeling you have in your brain, just go do something, create something. I'm creating this Minecraft world. It could be something completely different for you. Creativity really helps. This is why I personally love Minecraft, because there is always something new to do, especially in a true one-block world like this, where I pretty much have to build everything from scratch. And this whole process just tickles my creativity in ways that I haven't previously experienced. That is why I enjoy it so much. But what if you don't know what you should create? Do you know what's one of the most creative things that I have done in my life? It's when I was 11 years old and Pokemon Stadium came out, which is to this day my favorite Pokemon game. Beating Pokemon Stadium as a kid is really tricky. The game doesn't really give you much in terms of help, and all the Pokemon you can choose from by default have awful movesets, because only the pre-evolutions come with proper movesets. But there is a solution. If you own a copy of Red or Blue, you can use the Pokemon you catch and train in those games with your preferred movesets and beat the different leagues with those. But again, as an 11-year-old, you don't really know what the best movesets are or what you should be using in the first place. So beating Pokemon Stadium completely was one of the biggest undertakings I've ever done, because I had to create more and more Pokemon with different movesets. Maybe this is going to work in this league, maybe that moveset is going to work in that league. It took me and my brother 1.5 years to beat Pokemon Stadium, and we enjoyed every second of it. It was such a cool and creative experience. The point I'm trying to make here is very simple. Creating something, creativity doesn't have to be painting or drawing. It can be whatever you find satisfying. Maybe it's a video game you wanted to beat for a long time, but you just don't start it because it's really hard, like a Souls game or like Rainworld. Do it. I challenge you to just do it. Just start doing it. See if you actually enjoy the process, and if you do, then don't overthink it. Just keep doing it. Next time you have some free time, instead of reaching for your phone to do something passive, do something active. And don't let other people decide for you what is creative and what is not. Don't let other people decide for you what you find satisfaction in making. If it is learning how to draw or how to play an instrument, great. But if it is playing a very hard video game, then do that. I realize this video is becoming a bit long, and I still have 2 major topics that I want to cover, so I guess I'm going to save those for my next 2 videos. Or I don't know, I might forget all about this and make something completely different. If you do want to hear more about this topic, please do actually let me know in the comments, because otherwise there is a very high chance that I will just simply forget what I was going to talk about in my next video. Yeah, I know, I'm a pinnacle of organization. Anyway, these are your 2 challenges until next we meet. Go journal, and then go create something.